When you do find your purpose, and when you find out what you're good at and you find out your gift, you're able to increase your value add 100%. And you get rewarded, not just monetary terms, but also something I call honor. You know, when people celebrate you, people bring you into motives, to parties, to networking events, private dinners, right? Yeah. That's a form of reward. Does that make sense? Because they know that, okay, if I bring this person in, right, they'll add value. I won't be ashamed.
I'm happy to just be in the background. Like, I don't want my face to be part of it, and that's one of the big things for me. Like, I didn't want to be the forefront. Like, I don't mind sharing, but I didn't want to be the forefront. It's okay to join what other people are doing. It's okay to add and be a builder, and that's exactly why I take other roles, and, you know, being a consultant and all the other stuff that I do is because I realise that my overall mission is I just want that young people have the tools that they need.
That's really the key of it, is can I be resilient? Can I bounce back? It doesn't mean that you don't have negative thoughts ever. No, it means what do I do with it? You know, how do I respond to it?
You have to be able to ask questions. You have to be able to hear answers. You have to be able to kind of figure things out. And I think that's really what makes good leaders, is being able to figure stuff out with your team that you never would be able to figure out by yourself.
You really don't need to know everything about your industry before you step into it. I think that was one thing that kind of made me feel a bit daunted before saying yes to beginning a startup, because you're not ever going into entrepreneurship alone. There is just such a bank of knowledge with so many people that you can be tapping into, and there's to feel that you need to know absolutely everything before you begin a business in whatever industry you're trying to work within.
Leadership is taking ownership in order to serve others.
Oh, that's a really good question to start off with. Now I feel thrown off. That was a really good answer. Hey everyone. I feel like for me, leadership is around. Oh, that was so delayed. Let's try again. Hey everyone. Shout out to someone who did it. But yeah, I feel like leadership for me is around allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough that people see your true self, and in your true self, people feel like they can be their true selves and strive towards the things that they believe are important and valuable and make them them.
I think for me, leadership is about having an overarching goal and vision, and ensuring that you yourself as a leader and everybody else that's involved in that journey is working towards that vision, whether it's by building on your own skills, investing in building their skills, just ensuring that mission, that vision is faithful, and it all carry along the journey.
Good evening, everyone. Become better, and through that you influence people and impact people for a win-win situation. So how they can win, the company can win, everybody wins together.
Perfect. I love that. So this kind of discussion, we've wasted enough time. Like, I really want to get into it, because for as many people that are in this room, a lot of people happen to find themselves in leadership positions here. And I guess out in the world, we see all the rewards of leadership, but we never really speak about the lows. And I think the most value that will be provided from this panel is actually when we get into the actual subject matter of leadership, as to where all the difficulties may arise, what are some of the challenges you guys personally as leaders face as well. So I really want this to be a discussion. So I'll be directing certain questions to one of you guys, but if you feel to jump in, then please do so. And as I said as well, towards the end, for the last 15 minutes, we'll open it out for Q&A as well. Final notice, as I said when we began, if anyone needs to leave for any reason, please do make your way out the back, through the back entrance that you came through, so that we can have a seamless stream as well as it's being recorded today. So I guess I'll start with you, Meg, actually. So so I think
I thought I was going to sit here.
You're on the firing line. So I've spent quite a bit of time on your website, and a key phrase I see on your website, and in lots of your keynotes that you've done, is your vulnerability is your strength. And I think one of the things I really like about you is, with a lot of your keynotes, you start by getting almost a temperature check. You almost check how people are doing in the room, and you also do that both in your workplace and the organization you run as well. Why is it so important for leaders to almost accommodate that sort of culture of checking in and like checking how the people they're working with are as well, both mentally, emotionally, and also physically as well?
Yeah, so I feel like, to take it right back, why did I start check-ins? I feel like check-ins were primarily a very selfish thing, I'm going to be honest. And they were a selfish thing for me because I'm very socially awkward. So for those of you who don't know, I have extreme social anxiety, which is banter because my life is spent talking to people. I get paid to speak, which is like, they shouldn't go seamlessly together, but they do. And I think by doing those check-ins, it allowed me to feel safe enough to be like, actually, if I'm a 2 out of 10 or I feel a bit nervous today, the rest of the room can get me. And I think that's what true leadership is about, is being able to dare to be different. And actually, this is something that many people don't do, and I felt like it was really important, because if I can prove as a leader that I'm also having those 2 out of 10 days, then my team will also feel comfortable enough that I've created a safe space that they also want to share the fact that they're a 1 out of 10, a 2 out of 10, a 3 out of 10. And actually, it's not my job as a leader to constantly care about people's personal experiences, but it should be. Right? A lot of people, as leaders, only care about the productivity or what you do and what your job is, but actually, if you don't invest in people, they won't invest in you. And I feel like the temperature checks and actually check-ins were a really, really good way that from the moment you come into a room with me, I've told you I care about you and I see you. Therefore, why would you not want to stay? I've invested in you in that moment to recognise that you exist and you care, and I care about you. Therefore, if there's something that I need from you, you can tell me, actually, like, I want to invest back in you and I care about you too. So that's the thing that really, really helped me, and that's why I started the check-ins.
Amazing, amazing. And if I can come on to you, Tolu, as well. From your bio, we've seen that you've had an extensive career. You've had quite a few managerial positions, and from research as well, you currently run 2 podcasts around the topic of leadership. What are some of the key commonalities you see between like good leaders?
I think good leaders are really all about understanding. So, like you said, the check-ins, what the check-ins does, it gives you an opportunity to really get to the core of what's going on. So if you ask someone like, how are you doing? Everyone's like, yeah, I'm okay. Then you're like, okay, how are you really doing? And as you get into that, then you start to see, oh, okay, this person's got this going on. That might be why this is happening. That's why they're reacting in this way. I think great leaders, what they're really good at is getting to understanding and then using that understanding to then move forward. Because it's so easy to say, okay, this person switched out today, what's going on? But once you understand, okay, they've actually got issues at home. So some of the stuff that's come from check-ins for me is that one of the people I was managing, she was being domestically abused. And you would never know that in the workplace, but then when you see some of the behaviours, now you can understand, oh, okay, that's really where that's coming from. So understanding is a really, really big part of great leadership.
And I just want to press in there a bit further, because I guess for a lot of leaders here, like that isn't an incentive to almost check context. So as you have grown as a leader, what made that like so crucial to you? How did you develop that understanding of like, yes, they're an employee maybe, but they've got a life outside of this as well, and I should almost tend to that as well.
Because I feel like as a leader, and this is one of the things people don't really see on the outside, is that you have a holistic responsibility to the people that you're leading. You're responsible for their well-being as a general thing, because I think that if you're entrusted with leadership, you have to take that ownership over everything. So I can't fix everything for people, but I can make so that you come to work 40 hours a week plus, right? So I can make so that when you're in this environment, there's safety. I can do what I can do to make things better at home. So I think that what I learned is that it's a holistic responsibility, but then also once you understand some of the context, it makes you more effective in your workplace. It makes it easier to actually get stuff done because you understand what's going on with lots of different people, so you can actually then use that in a good way to actually get stuff done. So if someone's being prickly in a meeting, for example, I know that after I'm going to have a chat with them, understand what's going on, smooth it over for them, because then actually everything moves better together. So it's that bigger piece of holistic responsibility, but then also that can also impact you as an effective employee, you as a leader, you getting stuff done. Then everyone wants you in the room because you understand the context, you can help to get stuff done with people that are usually difficult.
That one's key.
Definitely. And Debra, coming on to you, you seem to almost have found yourself in leadership after founding Doppler out of university, but your leadership is slightly different because you're a co-founder. So what's that experience been like, almost leading this startup but with another person as well?
No, it's been fascinating. To be honest, it's made me admire people who run their own businesses on their own. I'm thinking, how on earth do you do that? How do you do this? Because for us, I guess if you don't know the story, like Doppler, our company, came out of a university project, and so it was a group project. 2 of us working on it, And so I think just from then on, we kind of saw that our dynamic worked really well. So we're like, okay, we're going to do this together. And our experience it's been a really great one, because we're able to kind of spread our expertise across different areas, as opposed to having just one person, one set of skills, and then having to grab onto lots of different people to come join the team. I mean, that's happened anyway, but it was good because it happened anyway. But initially, it was great because we're able to kind of diversify those skills and latch onto lots of different things. It's great for also key decision making, having two people's opinions. Most of our great ideas have come out of discussion, come out of conversations that we've had with each other. So I think there's also obviously time for isolation and working on your own, but having this co-leadership model has been so useful in just the speed at which we can accelerate development. Whereas doing it on my own, like, oh, okay, finance, oh, accounting, oh, these things. But having someone else to just have a sense check or to speak to has been so useful.
I also want to ask, what are some of the difficulties as a co-founder? Because it's like two heads.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Difficulties. I think, to be honest, one of the biggest challenges that we face is because my co-founder Shafali was born and raised in India. I was born and raised in the UK. And so just our cultural differences they're there. So for instance, sometimes it's with communication. The way she communicates is a lot more direct than how I would speak. Like, super polite and don't want to tread on anyone's toes. That's been something to work through. Sometimes also decisions don't get made as quickly as you want them to because you're trying to come to a common ground. But in complete honesty, the pros outweigh the cons of having a co-leader and leading it.
And on that topic of pros outweighing cons, like I'd like to come to you, Victor, because you've made quite a big, almost radical move in the past couple of months with your career journey, going into full-time entrepreneurship as well, with your studying entrepreneurship as well. So I want to ask, actually, in terms of success metrics, when you're looking at pros and cons, how important is it as a leader for your success metric to be very different to the world? Because I'm looking at your story, you started at, you had a scholarship from one investment bank, you were a graduate there as well, and you decided to almost take that leap of faith into going into entrepreneurship. So were there any doubts with that? What were some of the things you were considering? And what is your metric of success now as a leader compared to maybe before? And how did that influence the move?
Yeah, those are big questions. I'm just noting them down. I think for context, my journey, of course, started in banking and finance. That was what I've known since sixth form. Done loads of internships. Was the youngest trader on my floor in investment banking. So that was sort of my career path. Working in the industry and working it up and making money. And it's interesting because I'm taking leadership lessons from the panelists because I'm still of young age. I've not had the ability to be managerial within a firm. I've not had that experience, but what I've always found myself doing is trying to lead. Actually not trying to lead. I kind of again fell into leadership. I like to create experiences and experiences with people, experiences with community. So I guess to your question now, I'll start with number one, the leap of faith. So what made me decide I don't want to do investment banking or trading anymore. I want to do entrepreneurship, which is actually a crazy idea. Now I'm 2-3 months in, I just think, wow, what did I actually do? It's tough. So I left. I used to work for Credit Suisse, the investment bank. They now got acquired by UBS, but I'm not working there anymore. And I'm studying entrepreneurship as a course at Cambridge. And I think the reason for that sort of jump is because the way I saw it, I always ask myself this question, kind of like, you say check-ins, but imagine checking in with yourself. You're taking stock, and I took stock, and I said, okay, in the next 5 years or 10 years, like a long time frame, what is it I want to do? What is it I am called to do? What is it that I like doing? And you can kind of get an understanding of what you like doing from a track record of what you've been doing since you're young. Does that make sense? So for me, it was bringing people together. So if you didn't know, I was that guy. I used to sell chicken wraps in school. I used to sell sweets. I used to sell I used to host. Yeah. Yeah. Long story short, but it was all to bring people together around a common cause, whether they were hungry, whether it was a party. In my sixth form, I went to a sixth form. They used to throw proms at a whole prom committee. I said, "This prom is dead. Let's do our own." And I went out. I got 3 of my friends, and we held our very first VI prom where we invited other people from different sixth schools. So essentially, we had the first ever multi-school prom in the UK where we had 17 different schools from 5 different boroughs come to our proms, and it was just a whole big party. And at that time, now I think entrepreneurship, let's run this again. We planned it.
Very good concept. Why did you stop that?
I'll get to the story. So we said the first one was amazing. Then we said we want that venue. Literally the year before, we said we want that venue. Put down the deposit. Got our date. We're thinking of sponsors. February. COVID-19. Even my head was lost. We paid a lot of money for the deposit to secure the venue, and what happened was just COVID-19. Literally, no events, no parties. So they postponed our event to 2021, but there was still social distancing rules. Essentially, that was like an idea, but we had to just close that business. I was in uni. I said I don't know the sixth form market as well. When I say the sixth form market, we ran proms for sixth form, so I very much knew like all the boys' schools, all the girls' schools. We need this. I won't go to the normal prom. So that was what, but because I have no ambassadors, no one in the school, young. I didn't have any of that, so that's why I stopped. But let's go back to your second question. Pros and cons. So, pros and cons.
So, success metrics.
Okay.
So like, to the normal person, what you did is great. Leaving a full-time investment banking job.
Yeah.
So like, what is your success metric now?
Yeah. So that's perfect. So I looked at my 5 to 10 year plan, and I guess a success metric for me is being on the right path. That's a success metric for me. If I am good in the eyes of the world, if success looked to me externally, graduated, best dissertation in the world, by the way. I flex my stuff because that's how I know it's hard work. But all of that looks like success metrics. But I'm sitting down at my desk, not enjoying it. Wanting to leave the place, getting home a bit cranky. Mom's like, "How's things?" Like, but now I've got to do real work because that wasn't work. Does that make sense? So for me, that's not success. That's not success. So for me, success metrics jumping from that to this is like I don't know where I'm going to end up. I don't know what valuable is going to turn out to be. I don't know if I'm going to start a new startup or venture, but I know I'm on the right path because I'm studying something that's going to benefit me. I'm in it for the long game, so I feel like I'm 23 years old, but I've got another 70 years in the game, so 93.
Completely now.
I mean, until I clock out when the Lord wants. That's in my mind. So when I'm now thinking about this, I'm thinking, 23, get my master's at Cambridge out of the way, that I'm on the right path. Yeah. That's success to me. There can't be no content.
I hear it.
I just wanted to pick up on one thing you said. It was a bit of a joke about, best dissertation in the world. But what you have is a real skill set to promote. And this is what we don't know often as black people, is that hard work isn't going to do it for you. You can do all the hard work, but if you can't shout about, this is what I've done, this is the value that I've added, you won't get promoted. Because so many people work hard, but not everybody gets promoted. My boss sat me and I said, look, you don't make it easy for me to promote you. What do you mean? I deliver everything. He's like, yeah, but write it up for me, send me an email, and I can boast about you to everybody. And I said, oh, that's the game that we don't know about, but you have a skill set in that. That's so important to be able to say, this is who I am, this is what I'm good at, this is where I add value. So I just want to say that is so important to be able to do.
I just want to ask actually, because there are probably people in the audience thinking, I'm struggling to do that. Whether it's at work, whether that's at school, whether it's like, I want to do something in entrepreneurship. Like, how does someone go about like shouting about themselves, but also like a balance with humility as well, and not losing themselves in that? Yeah,
it's hard, especially as I'm Christian. So as a Christian, that's really hard. What does humility look like? But I still need to say that I'm good. And I think humility is about not thinking about yourself more highly than you ought to. So if you're actually good, then you're good. You're good. I'm good. I can actually do that thing. I can add that value. I'm actually good. It's almost like false humility is still pride. You see what I mean? It's a weird version, but what I found useful for me personally, because I hate having to talk about myself. That's why I admire your skill set and being able to be confident, full chest. Yeah, I did that. I struggle. So what I learned how to do is coach it, turn it, and put it in terms of I can help you get more value. So I've done this for this person, I can help you do that. So it's less about I'm great, it's more about, okay, I can help you get to good outcomes, and here's some evidence. And in that evidence, people realize, oh, he's done it a few times now, he must be good. You see what I mean? But it's about what works for you. You see what I mean? That works for me because also I'm a tall guy. I have, there's different things, different personalities that you have to manage. So for me, that's what worked for me. You've got to find what works for you. Like, your way is cool. It works for you. It's humorous. It's good. Like, I like it. I really admire it.
It's not to add quickly on that point. It's because if you know the work that goes behind it, you'll understand. Does that make sense? I think for 100%. Me, again, this is my way. Yeah. I think I'm that person where, and I think we're talking about even leadership. Let's go back to the leadership. I'm that person that does a lot of things by myself, on my own. I always consider myself a lone wolf. I grew up with a mentality, get things done. So when I'm in the lab, which I call it, or the trenches, and I'm getting things done. Listen, when I'm there, I'm not shouting to nobody. Nobody knows what I'm doing. Nobody knows the work. Nobody does it. But when the work is finished and completed, it speaks for itself. Then all I have to do is just remind people. By the way, 100%. Does that make sense? Like,
absolutely.
This is it. And I think what taught me as well. So even the Global Undergraduate Awards, I was the only black guy there. I was the only black person. You could go on the list. There's 25 of us globally, 3 of us in the UK. I was the only black person there. So when I now tell people, because I think even in our community, they don't even know that exists. They don't have a clue they can apply for an award. All that research, we cry about our dissertations to each other, but no one wants the reward for it.
Bro, I didn't even know for a long time that people often nominate themselves for awards.
Oh yeah. So the only other thing that I was going to add is, I think it's easier from your point of view, and I'm not going to now do anything, but it's really easy for men to do this. And I see it at work, I see it with my teams, I see it with people that I manage. Men find it a lot easier, and the world accepts men doing it a lot more, to be more bold around saying, you know what, I'm actually good with this. Men will tick 2% of the criteria and still apply for the job. Some of the CVs I've received in my day, I've actually looked at it and said, you know what, I'm very confident. This one's never going to run. And women will have to tick 99% of the criteria to even be like, oh, I'm going to apply. So that's already a barrier as a female woman leading that you have to consider, because actually, you might have been ready for that role 10 years ago, but until you recognise that you're good enough to be in that space, opportunities will fly past you like a train.
To be ready. This is the thing.
But then there's another thing around being ready. You never want to take opportunities prematurely and be rubbish at them, right? Because you only have one chance. And the reason I'm going to say this as well is your network is so important to you. So the reason I'm all over the place, but let me land. It's flying at the moment, but I promise I'll land the plane. The bit I was trying to say is sometimes it's harder to talk about yourself, so get other people that can do it for you better, right? And that's to do with your network. And the reason I'm saying about sometimes don't take opportunities because they look shiny, wait until you're ready, because you never want to mess up. You could be in the room with someone that has the key to change your life, and because you weren't adequate at the role, you weren't competent. People don't understand the level of competency is really important. It's not just about confidence. It's not just about saying, oh yeah, I really want it, or being passionate. Are you competent at your job? Are you competent at that skill? Are you competent in that room? And that's the thing that will open doors for you. You should be able to exist outside of social media, outside of LinkedIn, and still get a job. And that's to do with your network. I remember one of my mentors said to me, if you can't raise money in a week, your network sucks. If you can't get a job in a week, your network sucks. And I think you have to ask yourself, where are you putting your confidence? Are you putting your confidence in the private rooms, actually building those connections and those strong relationships? Or are you building it in public where actually when push comes to shove, no one's going to recommend you? They'll just say, oh yeah, they're all right, they're doing their thing. But when it comes to actually being recommended for something, who are you surrounded by? And I think that's what being a leader is about, right?
That's slightly different.
I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
Go for it though. But I know what you're going to say. I agree with you.
I think so. I played semi-pro basketball, right? And up until a point, I was always the best on the team. Then when I played semi-pro, everyone was the man. Everyone was good, and I was now the worst on my team. My competency wasn't that high, but my effort, my team building skills, all of that kind of stuff, it was actually kept me in the team and other people got cut. And I'm thinking, I'm next to be cut because I'm not good enough. But it's the intangibles, how you approach things, they often make up for that. So even if you're not right for that exact role, people see, okay, no, she went in. She really tried to learn. She tried to grow.
This is where I'm going to come back to it. What he's describing is what character. Your character could also make you competent, and that's the key part.
And that's where, for me, take the opportunity. But if you know you're underqualified, you better work your absolute socks off. Because otherwise, what's keeping you there? Can you bring something different, different value?
100%.
That's where for me, I'm kind of like, I agree, I disagree. I don't take something like crazy, but stretch yourself.
A little bit, yeah.
And that's what the guys and girls also a little bit different. Exactly. I'll still roll with it, and I'll still do it.
Yeah. So I want to ask actually, what keeps you there? And a lot of the time, what keeps you in a place is your why. So I'm going to you, Deborah. You've got such an amazing why as to the starting of Dot Block. Would you like to tell us a bit about that? And yeah, how has that motivated your leadership in that space as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dot Plot, we are basically creating a tool that helps people to catch early signs of breast cancer at home. And the why behind that is because at the moment there's actually just the prevalence of breast cancer is unbelievable, and yet there is just such a lack of tools in helping people to actually keep on top of their breast health. You can monitor your blood pressure, you can monitor your glucose, you can monitor your sleep, so many aspects of your health. When it comes to your breast health, there's just nothing to help you track what's happening. And so that kind of came out as from my co-founder's like personal experience with feeling something strange within her breast tissue one time. And then her gynecologist recommended like just feel it for a few weeks and then come back and see if anything's changed. She was like, how do you monitor if anything has changed? So that was kind of what ignited the curiosity. And then we went out to speak to more women, found that this resonated with so many people. The more interviews that we did, so right, there's a humongous opportunity here. What can we do about it? So that why has kind of underpinned every single thing that we've done in Dot Plot's development. And what we found has been so useful is keeping up that engagement with the people who are going to be the end users of your product. So you can build your business on assumptions if you want to, have fun. But it will fall and crash because assumptions are guesses about people. They're not actually facts about what people are experiencing. So when we discovered that people are really struggling to monitor their health, that became our why. And like I said, that has underpinned everything that we do. And so we keep up that customer engagement, whether it's through like interviews or user tests or workshops with women. Understand what are the problems that you're facing, what are the specific pain points that we can address. We can't fix everything, but what are the specific pain points that we can be addressing? And in terms of like leadership, that helps, it kind of feeds into keeping that vision in check. So the more that we've done, the more that we've developed, we speak to a lot of people. And people have very different opinions on how they believe you should be taking your business. Dot Plot, so basically it's a handheld device and an app, and they work together to guide you through your self-check each month. And it builds a map of your upper chest and then divides that into a grid, and then it will flash on the point you need to apply pressure to with the device. Some people are like, okay, this your hardware is going to take a long time to develop. Do something, in the meantime, do something revenue generating, get yourself out there fast. Some people think, put yourself, just do something small, put yourself in the market, see how people feel, Some people think, scrap the hardware altogether, just do software. Software's easy, software makes money. All sorts of opinions. But one thing that will help you in your leadership journey is that why. So I know in the back of my head that the women we've spoken to don't just need an app that's going to be like, oh, ding ding, check your breast today. That's not what they need. And so having that crucial understanding of your users, your people, just helps to guide your work and keep you focused on that mission. Otherwise, you can be swayed in all sorts of directions. So I would say definitely, keep up with speaking to people who are going to be using whatever it is that you're creating, and have them kind of guide your work.
Yeah, and in a similar vein, you've got quite a personal why so you currently work at Mind, but you also have Mind Map at your company as well. So would you mind sharing your why and how that has almost influenced your career journey as well?
Oh God, we're going to be here forever, I'm basically. But yeah, I'm always really open about it. I feel like our community is not open about it enough. But I suffer from borderline personality disorder. I mentioned that I've got social anxiety, but I'm also a recovering anorexic. Trigger warning. The reason Mind Mapper started is because on my 20th birthday, 26 now, I had my last suicide attempt. So this year, 3 weeks ago, was my 6-year suicide free.
Wow.
And I feel like this year. Is because behind the scenes, my 20th year was probably my most successful year in terms of things I was doing and things like that, and yet I still ended up in that really dark place. And that's why I think it's really important to talk about these things, because mental health is hidden. When you look at me, you wouldn't even know that I've got certain mental illnesses because they don't have a face. And I think the reason I started Mind Mapper was, I remember I was studying PP at the time at uni, and the green paper by the government had come out, and they were putting all this investment into like workplace mental health, lots into like children mental health, so anyone under the age of 18, but there was nothing for university students, so that 18 to 25. As soon as you turn 18, that doesn't mean you're an adult, and I hate how sort of the industry will label you as an adult as soon as you turn 18. In the minute that I was 17 and 18, I haven't now just sorted my life, I've got my life together, so why does the world think I have? And I remember reading it through, and at that moment I was lobbying and I was a researcher, so I was doing a lot of policy papers. This was what I, again, wasn't your typical student. I don't know why I didn't just say, focus on a degree. And I remember saying, like, how are they putting all this money, and yet it was 18 to 25-year-olds that were the most highlighted in suicide rates over those 2 years, as in 250,000 young people across the UK had experienced suicide by that age. Suicide is the leading killer of all young people aged 17 to 25. Like, it is insane. And I feel like if it was a physical illness, in the same way that coronavirus was killing people, so many more people would be caring about mental health if we could physically see the symptoms, right? And I remember saying, I just want to tell the government that my mind matters too. I was in a room with the rest of my team and I said, stop, everyone stop what you're doing. I said, write that down, that name slaps. I said, that's what we're going to do. I said, we're going to write a policy paper and we're going to lobby Parliament, and that's how we became special advisors for number 10, and this is why the NHS has everyone matters. A good friend with a distance. Friends in high places. But the reason that, and it was incredible to see that actually you don't, when we say about being qualified, young people are often just given a seat at the table, but I said, I don't just want to be given a seat at the table, I want to build my own table and invite people in. And that's exactly what I did with My Mind Matters too, and then it organically became Mind Mapper, which is a mental health education company. So we're an edtech company, we work with global education organisations, and we impact, over 100,000 young people a year. And it's just been the most incredible thing. I wanted to just go and be an investment banker. I thought, yeah, I'm going to make a partner by 27. I'm just going to make big monies, and that was what I wanted to do. And actually, God had a completely different purpose for me. Something that I've been ashamed about for so long, like battling mental illness since I was 13. God has used to connect me with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And by me finding that sort of pain to purpose, other people can find theirs as well. So that's what keeps me going my way. Running a business is so long, I'm going to tell you when the money runs out and then, listen. But the thing that keeps you going is you have to remind yourself, if you don't do this, who will? Yeah. Right? And it's the same way, like, there is always going to be competition in the market. Definitely. There's so many people that have come and gone. Like, I remember when we first started, so many people were building mental health companies. Where are they now? Because endurance is key, and I think the thing that I constantly remembered, if competition wasn't good, why do we have millions of different water brands? Right? There's room for everyone. And I keep reminding myself with my map, wherever we go, wherever it kind of takes me, there's room for us, and we just need to keep performing and keep making impact, and that's why we still exist today.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I just want to stay on you for a bit, because I think there's a lot you could speak to in terms of leaders here prioritizing their own personal well-being as well. So how would you advise that for someone here? Because I guess when you're building something, a leader, a lot of the time your role is to put out fires, to solve problems. If something comes out there, you have to go and tend to that. But then in all these putting out fires, your life could be in disarray. So it's like
the meme of the girl, yeah, but the building is burning down.
Literally, that's how your life could be. So how does a leader, maybe in this room, a young leader, if you're speaking to yourself many years ago, like how then do they go about like prioritizing their personal well-being and almost like, and still being able to perform in the places that they have to?
Okay, brilliant. We're going to talk about this, cheeky plug, in my session tomorrow, around practical mechanisms and tools that you can use throughout your life and within your teams. But I think the cool things that if I look at myself and how I'm being able to maintain Meg, because I don't just have a full-time 9-to-5 job, I'm the youngest head of ever hired in a charity sector. So I'm a head of strategic programs innovation at Mind. I also have My Mapper. I also have MZW, which is all the consultancy and speaking engagement things I do. And then next year we're building the first ever crisis cafe in West London. So there's so many things I get pulled into. And I think the core thing that's helped me is, again, as a Christian, where do you go to your private space? And actually think weeks are the most brilliant things you can do. I remember we were talking about it the other day. They don't have to be a week. It could be a day. It could be an hour of where you take dedicated time, uninterrupted, where it's just for you investing in yourself. And it started off with me just doing med days, and then I did think weeks. How can you fill yourself? How can you fill other people up from an empty cup? And I think that's the dedication. That in the same way that you invest in other people, true leaders will follow the kind of advice that they give other people. How can I tell other people to rest if I don't rest? I'm a hypocrite. So I said, I'm burning out, everyone can see I'm dying, let me go and rest. So I take 2 think weeks a year, which is time where I literally disappear off the face of the earth, I literally deactivate everything. I don't even take my actual phone, I have like a burner phone. No, I'm not on the roads. But I have a burner phone that I take out and you can't contact me. And it's a space where I can actually think and do an actual overview of my life. So that's the first one. But the second one is therapy or coaching. Oh my God, running a company. Sometimes you're so focused on the problem, not the solution, or you're focused on the solution and not the problem. And that's the issue. You're just constantly asking yourself the same questions. Getting a coach is the best thing that me and my co-founder at the time did, because instead of us kind of fighting heads, we had another person being able to kind of ask us how to problem solve, and it was the best thing ever. And I think therapy is also a really good thing. So one thing we'll talk about tomorrow as leaders, it's really difficult to sometimes separate your company identity and you, and that's where it becomes so difficult to switch on, because you're like, if I switch off, the company's not working, or if I switch off, this is not going to happen. And actually, then you need to be able to distinguish the two, because if your company fails, it doesn't mean you're a failure, right? You are still your whole self, and the company's the addition. So that's kind of how I've been able to kind of figure everything out, and also I was able to ask for help. I have had a PA for the past 2.5 years who has transformed my life, because it's asked me to constantly be vulnerable and constantly say, listen, I'm struggling, help me sort my life out, and that has been the greatest gift. I know it's a privilege to be in that position, and I've worked very hard to create a space where I can not only sustain myself financially, but I've now been able to sustain to someone else financially. And I think that has been the key thing of accepting help, like realizing, yes, you're a leader, but you can also be led in other areas and being willing to give that to someone else. And I think that's really, really helped me.
Unfortunately, we've only got about 5 minutes left of this panel, but it does give time for us to get some live Q&A. So does anyone have any questions that they want to pose to the panel? We'll start with Stefan here, then we'll go around.
So my question is open to anyone, but based on how many finished that last point about coaching, how do you feel that sponsorship, coaching and mentoring has shaped you as a person?
So coaching and mentoring has shaped my entire life, and the reason I'll say that is I would say, I was thinking, we were calculating this the other day, I would say 99.9% of all my clients and speaking engagements have come from the relationships I've had with mentors, coaches, or my network. In the grand scheme of things, I do not promote myself enough, bad, but it's also really good, because I think it's made me realise that the value that I have is enough, and actually focus on the work. If I don't focus on the work, I'll be doing content, and I have no time for that. I want to focus on the work. And mentorship has been amazing, because it's like free learning all the time. Like, why wouldn't you take advice from someone that's 2 steps ahead of you? Like, they've already foreseen all the things that you're going to go through. That's why it's amazing to sit down with people that are, if you're a new founder, always sit down with someone 1 year ahead of you, because actually the 1 year ahead is more important than someone who's 5 years ahead. So I remember when I wrote my ebook, when I was thinking about networking and creating things, I'm going to make this really quick, I'm so sorry. I was like, okay, what makes the perfect kind of networking environment? And I was like, there's 5 types of people that you will always want to find in the room. Number 1 is someone that you can identify that makes you feel safe, so someone that's like you, so I might navigate and I might kind of move around the room and be like, you're wearing that, that's made me now feel safe in the room. You're going to have someone that you aspire towards, and that person could be doing the same role as you in the same sort of space, or, you know, someone that you envision kind of looking at. You want the headhunter, the top job, the person that is obviously very, very shiny, but that's not the person that you're going to go for. You want someone that is at least even 1 month ahead of you, because you want to get all of that access. You want that jump start. And the other one, you want the kind of lucky charm, which is someone that you would never ever think of ever speaking to, and that person that you never would ever think that you could resonate with. will be the best mentor in your life. And some of my best mentors have been people I probably on the street would have been like, white, upper class, privately educated, on the fence, you might think are very racist and they say certain things, but actually their way of thinking has transformed me, and actually not just mentorship, the things they've taught me about myself and the world has transformed, and actually me being able to contest why I have those views about ourselves and each other has been the greatest thing. So if you can, everyone in this room, get yourself a mentor. Even peer mentorship is amazing, right? In this room, there's so many people that you can be peer mentors and accountability partners.
Oh, they unpacked it.
Yeah. We definitely did, and if you want to find out more about mentorship, we've actually got an episode on the valuable.
Oh,
so we'll take the next 2 more questions if we can. We'll keep response.
Extend 5 minutes.
Even better. Yes, please.
Hey, thank you so much for being so valuable and honest. Like, just really phenomenal. Lightning bolt. Phenomenal. But I wanted to ask you, like, when I think being a dreamer is amazing, and like wanting to do a lot is great, like wanting to impact, but how do you know what you can actually manage and you're not overdoing it, like for you as a person?
Absolutely. Everyone in this room, if you've not read The One Thing, go out and buy that book today. And if anyone doesn't know what it is and can't afford it, let me know, I will buy you the book or give you one. Yes. It's one of the best books you can ever read. And I think in terms of leadership and how it's allowed me to be able to prioritize, there's this thing around counterbalancing. No one should ever tell you, I'm trying to balance my life, because you never can. Because if you give energy to, can you give me your hand for a second? If I now hold his hand, I no longer have my hand. And again, if I'm trying to balance here, how can I move? They have to move. There's always something holding you back. There's a cost of investing your time and energy in something, right? So by counterbalancing, it's being able to figure out what's the one thing I can do right now that will make everything easier. So for me, to be in this position, the one thing I did was I invested in my mother. Instead of taking my graduate schemes, instead of going into a full-time role, I took a year out of uni to build my map. It didn't make no sense whatsoever. I had no money. Oh my God, that was the brokest year I've ever lived in my life. Oh my God, when you're broke, you learn how to do all different things. Like the reason I could do my eyelashes now because I'm broke. I was so broke. But by building in my mapper, I've been able to create a 15-year career in the space of 3 years, 3 to 5 years. And the peers that I work with are always like, how the hell did you do this? And I think it was by doing one thing. It's about focusing on the one thing that will have a ripple effect on everything else. So as that dreamer, the person that wants to be in everything, think about the running thread that makes everything make sense. For me, my running thread was I was always passionate about mental health, education of young people. Every single one of the things I'm doing, even though I named them, they're all the same. So when I'm investing in my mapper, actually I'm investing in speaking engagements. If I'm investing in speaking engagements, actually I'm investing in my role at mine. They all work the same, and that's because I chose to invest in one thing, and that's what counterbalancing is about, picking the right moment for the right things. I'm going to stop. I'm so sorry. But buy the book, please. Buy the book.
What was the book called?
The One Thing by Gary Keller.
Bro, hey, to all the panelists, thank you very much for your words. This is a question to any or all of you, so any can answer, but all of you can answer as well. What would you say is the most important character trait for being an effective leader? If you could just say one character trait.
I think humility. Humility.
Humility. Okay.
Interesting.
One character trait. You know what? It's yes, humility. I'm not even stealing it. I was trying to find another word for it, but it's humility. Yeah, because it's either you choose to be humble as you begin your leadership journey, or you'll be humble. So it's like, to take the easiest route, you start to understand that the minute you start, because I know you said one character. I'll give a quick story, because even with this, we'll use this as an example, the valuable community. I started this for a podcast, me and Nana have an episode. I started off wanting to talk to people, loving to hear stories, podcast in my bedroom. Who here has heard a podcast, the valuable podcast? Yeah. Come on, so you can see that some of the videos, I'm in my bedroom just with headphones, with big headphones, and that's what I've done. I love doing podcasting, and those times were easy. It was simple. Schedule a guest, I knew what to do. I'm not dealing with no management, nobody. It was so simple. Then the minute you want to bring people together, you're dealing with people. people are the most complex beings in a system. Anything is people, because you've got emotions, you've got egos, you've got like, everything we talked about, check-ins. Like, so when I started to deal with people, we had our first ever retreat last year, and that's not my first experience dealing with people, because I've ran similar things like this before, but it became more laborious because I'm doing something that's bigger than me. I actually can't be, like, there was 2 workshops going on, right? I can't be in the same room at the same time. So I knew I needed people. So that's where leadership begins to go, because I have the vision, I need people to help me execute. So now I have to look for the right people. Do they buy into the vision? You know, from who was here from last retreat, I made like a call, you know, who wants to join the team, because I knew for next year we need more people. Or even throughout the year, we've hosted around 10 different events in 2023, from socials to talks to panels to this retreat. And it's a thing where I knew that I needed people, but now coming back to humility, what does that mean? It means that you've now created a space for you to be challenged. You created a space for opinions. You created a space for so many different things that coming into it, I didn't know I was creating that space. Does that make sense? I thought I was going to bring them in. Okay, now I've got people. Okay, you do this, you do that, we'll do this. But it was just not the case. So you have to humble yourself and say, okay. This is what you want to do. But now you've got people who are leading, right? And any person that follows you as a leader is not because, it's because they buy into you. The people buy into you. So essentially they believe that you're the right person to lead them, if that makes sense. So that's where humility comes in, because you need to make yourself lower than all, so you are sort of lifted, and so whatever you're leading, essentially whatever your vision is, my part, dot plot, you know, if you're leading people in a global company at managerial level, you've got to get them to buy into you. So you take the lowly seat, take the lowly position, and essentially they would actually lift you up. They would actually promote you. Right, this experience. Who has enjoyed this experience so far, right?
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, this sold out in 14 days. I've had people still messaging me, oh yeah, can I come? And if it was a marketing partner, I was like, no, like there's no space, like, because I wanted to create it in a way that it's not for volume. It's still for, I can still get the intimacy that we need as a community, but have it at a certain level, and that came not because of my huge marketing efforts, but it's because of the people that promoted me. People that promoted the leader behind the vision, then people that promoted the vision. Does that make sense? And so in that whole process, I tried to just take the lowly seat. Does that make sense? And I feel like that's why humility is a character. If you want to lead anything, you're going to take the lowly seat and get the work done. I'm still a big one on that one. Get the work done, but the results will speak for itself.
That's amazing, man. I think Boaz, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to stand up. Thank you so much for all of you.
Wow, can we just admire this Tolu?
Anyway, thank you to all of you. You are so valuable, and I don't just mean that because we're at a retreat. Thank you genuinely. What you guys have given me is gems, and I just wanted to ask you guys a question. And the question is around family and friends. And I know all of you guys are relentless builders, right? And sometimes in the midst of building, we were talking about it before, that important but not urgent column on your list in terms of the time with family, time with loved ones, because they won't be here forever. What were some of the difficulties in navigating that? And how did you overcome that? Especially in times where there's been trenches season, or as Victor says, when you're in the lab.
Yes.
Yeah, how have you kind of navigated that, if that question makes sense?
Where we are right now is so relevant. So, yeah. No, that's an interesting one. I think it's so funny. We spoke to one of our advisors recently because she was noticing that when she got on calls with us, she was like, something is off with the two of you. Like, what's going on? And it was because I think the realities of building this business has started to set in this year. And it wasn't like last year, because we started off last year summer. It was just like hype, there was lots of media attention, this, that, it was exciting. But then it hit us like, oh my goodness, we are building a business. And when you hear all the people saying things like, the impact this could have, and this is that, the pressure starts to like mount on your shoulders, and you get very overwhelming. And our advisor was saying, like, something's off with you, like, what's happened? And I think it was because that was setting in, and the confidence being locked with like lots of investors being like, no, you were too early, this is that. And she was telling us that, guys, ladies, this journey is going to be one of sacrifice. You are going to lose a lot by building this business. And I was like, oh my goodness, what on earth what does that mean? And so she was telling us about her own personal stories of her relationship being somehow and this and the other. And it got me thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to sustain this and also be able to maintain like my family, the relationships with my family, my friends, this and the other. And the conclusion that I've kind of come to is that yes, there's going to be sacrifice, but also you will always have time for the things that you prioritize. If you make time for family, if you make time for your friends, you can fit your work around that. And one thing I always try to remember is that, Deborah, there's always going to be more things on your to-do list. That's just how it's going to be. You're not going to be able to tick off everything all the time, but you have to prioritize. Okay, this is time for me. This is time for my family, and nothing is going to interfere with that. The business will keep running, and I mean, you've mentioned like being a Christian as well. The most important thing in being a leader is that my relationship with God, and the certainty I have in Him just enables me to rest in the fact that, okay, God's got this. You have started this, Lord, and you will see us to the end by your grace. That's it. So I'm not there like, oh my goodness, my family. I just, no. And so it's not in my strength that I'm building this. I had no interest in starting a business at all. No interest. It was something I was like running away from. I had a conversation with a friend before the year I went to do my master's, where I met my co-founder. And she was saying, oh, you were talking about jobs, what do you want to do after uni? And I was saying, I just want to finish uni, take a nap, and then like look for a job. Wouldn't it be so good for you to be able to just like choose who joined your team and decide how you build it? And I was like, absolutely not. I would not want to do that. Leadership, not interested. And look at what God has done. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, listen, Lord, my life is in your hands. Just do as you please. So that's kind of how I balance the, oh my goodness, stress, the this, the that. It's like, never rest. This is God's got this. Make time for the things that are important, because you don't want to be labouring and not being able to enjoy the fruit of that labour because you are so burnt out and tired and exhausted. So yeah, just keep it. If you keep it as a priority, you'll make time for it.
I think also, depending on the dynamic you have with your family and your friends, they should be people that pour into you and give you energy, right? Because when you're building, you're putting out energy. How are you getting that filled back in? Yeah. So your relationship with God is key, and make sure you're spending time with people that actually give you energy, that give you motivation, that give you inspiration to then go back out and build. So that's why it's so important as well.
Can I do one? I'll probably do it. But also, I think the thing that gave me comfort is I'm a human being, not a human doing. And actually, the moment I leave the office, who's the person that's going to call me? It's not my money. Wow, it's my But it's in those moments, like if I lose everything tomorrow, who are the people that are going to build me up? Like, it's those people that you need to be around you. So that's the key. Like you could be winning, but when you close the door, who are the people that are going to catch you? And I think that's what it is to me.
Absolutely. I'll go get my one. No, and this is because it's the closing line. So, in everything that you all just said is so profound, because this is why we're here. Community, find it here. Time with God, find it here. The people you need to increase your network, find it here. We're in a morning session. I didn't know we had qualified barristers. Wow. Come back over there. Qualified barristers, we have entrepreneurs, we have people who are still at university, we have the network in this room is crazy. It's crazy. I don't think people work the room enough, and that was a term that I was told when I was young, which actually helped me with networking. It's a term where, I was actually 17. I went to my first ever networking event on Eventbrite random, and I remember they were all doing these were the time people use business cards, and so now people don't use that, but they were like, what's your name? Yeah, take my business card. Yeah, come with me. But I remember I had like not a mentor, but somebody who was just like, how many people you speak to? I was like, oh yeah, I've got like 1, 2 business cards. So I was like, no, next time work the room. I was like, what do you mean work the room? And it's this idea of you've got so many people in the room, go around, make sure you speak to everybody if you can, get to know people, gauge, like, if not, at least get contacts to follow up later. And coming to this retreat, what it does, it pulls you from your natural environment and it gives you that time and that space to do so. So there's no excuses. Not like in an event, you know there's time on the clock, we've got to run out, people are dashing. You guys are sleeping there until tomorrow. Doesn't make sense. No excuse. If I've already seen people on 4 hours sleep. If you need to do it again, I'm not encouraging it. I'm not encouraging it. Of getting your network right when you leave this place. By all means. Does that make sense? So that was just my closing line. Everything you've heard today, put into practice. There's no point in it falling on deaf ears and it's not being implemented.
Definitely. And just a reminder for you guys, this is our last night. It's our last night here, so you have to make it count. So as we go downstairs to the dinner, work the room after you finish eating, grab someone for a chat, talk over table tennis. It could actually be anything. But I just want to first, actually, I'm a big person of honor, and there's an amazing team that helped to put this together. So could we give a round of applause to the team? So just to confirm instructions, so from here we'll all be going downstairs to enjoy dinner. But before we go, can we give a